Good afternoon to you. I'm Corey Chambers. Thanks so much for joining us.
And I'm Jan Jeffcoat. Patrick and Don both off today. Chicago police now confirm more than 50 people were shot in the city from Friday night through this morning. 8 of those people have died.
Kathy, Ron, we have been to Baghdad and we've been to Bosnia, in hurricanes and earthquakes, at riots and at Ground Zero. But how could the I-Team safely report on this one night in Chicago prompted just as serious discussions in our newsroom? And with good reason. Just as we were arriving in the Gresham Police District, 10 miles due south of Chicago's Loop, even before we reached for the cameras, 5 shots were fired across the street from us, and where detectives were making a drug arrest. As the sun set on a warm Chicago day, there was no pretending that one night on the streets was going to be anything other than a glimpse of reality. But this year, Chicago's image has been defined by shots heard and seen around the world, usually snippets of carnage and mayhem.
Where's that coming from?
124 people have been killed so far this year, 1 per day, about the number of Americans killed during the same period in Iraq and Afghanistan combined. So this one night in Chicago, in the small swath of urbanity where almost all the victims have died, we stayed to find out what it's like on the firing line and when the gun smoke clears. For the elderly man limping down the street at midnight, the neighbor on the phone at 2 a.m., the people in the laundromat at all hours.
They had a guy killed down the street here about 3 weeks ago. It's all terrible. Got to do better.
On this night, the police spent hours responding to calls of shots fired from alleys and gangways, on street corners, in parking lots and living rooms. At midnight, as Ernestine Hansard was returning home from work at a Southside nursing home, she dodged 3 gunshots on her block.
It scared the fool out of me, so I called the police. Because I was watching them run, and we was telling them that they running towards Ashland, going eastbound.
As paramedics treated the intended target, injured when he dived for cover, neighbors were still shielding their children from what they say is an every-night occurrence. Not far away, in another incident, police say a gang patrol tried to take down this man, but only wounded him in the leg. After he was put into an ambulance to be stabilized, a group gathered across the street and taunted him. A Chicago police sergeant with an automatic rifle stood guard. All night, we found most residents not interested in talking or saying they knew nothing, covering their faces in some cases and invoking a code of silence that for many extends from the press to the police.
You guys see what happened? Huh? You didn't see what happened?
Oh gosh, so I used to live out in Oak Park, so I go out in the Green Line, between the city and here. So definitely wouldn't want to get off between, Oak Park and, through the west side of Chicago. So people, aren't necessarily always portrayed in the best of lights when it comes to the crime reporting, the local reporting, I think. So I don't know. I don't think that it's usually intentional, but I think a lot of times that's what plays well in the local news.
I wouldn't say we purposely go out of our way, we just don't go there.
Yeah, and I've had to go to other parts of the city for work, and I always try to make sure that I can take somebody with me if I'm going to an area that I know has had, like shootings in the area or, is quote-unquote a rougher part of town. People make general statements about, all white people this or that, and, and I'm like, well, that's not me, I don't know,
neighborhoods that, pretty much all of them is infested, right? Not so much with drugs. You got the low to moderate neighborhood, which we fall in the middle of. That's 59th through King Drive through 60, going back to like 35th Bronzeville area, they low to moderate neighborhoods. Definitely not Inglewood, no. Loomis, all that west I won't do. I won't do the west side. No, I won't. They always, they like to show the negative part of black people, and this is really serious, and like the negative neighborhoods. Not everybody is a criminal, and not all blacks lie. I mean, every nationality, you have some that maybe stretch the truth, but not all are like that. Some of us, we do go to school. We do want better lives. We want better living, and we want better education, better food, especially for children. I don't have any, but I'm sure they do. We do. You hear it.
There's a place for stereotypes. Unfortunately, the stereotypes are inaccurate. I'm just mentioning the news, and I feel very strongly about that because it's not fair and it's not right. It's not right for you to see images of me or images of me to be depicted, me and her be depicted on TV. I have children. So when my children watch television, I have to go back and do damage control because that's not how we live. Some of the images, some of the things you see on TV are things I see. And that doesn't necessarily describe who we are.
Are we separated? Yeah, everything is black and white. Are we judged by that? Of course, we not only are judged by skin color, and you know that, we are judged physically because this world is visual. And everyone say they're not, no, they're visual, and it starts from how articulate you are, how you perceive them, your persona, and then your education.
So then what you gonna do with us?